The 24-team playoff. A lot of interesting discussions going on right now all over America about this Big Ten proposal to expand the college football playoff to 24 teams. And some of the debates about this subject are very intriguing. A lot of people talking about more access for a greater number of teams. A lot of people talking about increased revenue all across the board for college football programs. Even more people discussing the idea of a watered down regular season because of this playoff expansion, or perhaps even the playoff itself losing prestige because it's getting too big. And while all of these discussions are very interesting and quite pertinent, in reality, they're missing the main point of this whole issue. They're missing why the Big Ten proposed this 24-team playoff in the first place. And that point is this: the Big Ten is building the playoff structure it needs before getting the expansion it wants. Now, in our current 12-team playoff format, the Big Ten can expect to get about 4 to 5 teams in each and every season. And right now, that's an acceptable target. But the Big Ten wants to grow the size of their league. They want to expand. They want to get up to 22 or 24 teams. And when you have that number of teams in your league, only getting 4 or 5 playoff spots, well, that's just not very attractive. That means the bulk of your league has no chance to get into the playoff each and every season. So what the Big Ten is doing here is actually quite clever. They're starting from the end and working backwards. The Big is saying, look, we want to get to 22 or 24 teams, but we cannot make that work in the current playoff format. The only way we can get where we want to go is by starting at the ending, by expanding the playoff to 24 teams, thereby giving us 8, 9, or 10 slots in that expanded playoff each and every season, which in turn will allow us to grow to 22 or 24 teams. You can think of it like the "if you build it, they will come" model. If you expand the playoffs big enough, that opens the door. That opens the space for the Big Ten Conference to expand as well. Now, this new 24-team playoff proposal is great for everybody except the SEC. Why is that? Well, because the SEC has built its entire business model on the strength of the regular season. The SEC football regular season is the best in college football because each and every week is a gauntlet. There are no weeks off in the SEC. Even the lowest ranked team in the conference, which traditionally has been Vanderbilt, can be good. They can creep up and they can knock you off. So for the SEC, each and every week is important. There are no weeks off. The regular season is their bread and butter. A 24-team playoff model effectively destroys all of this, at least for the SEC, because guess what? If you have a 24-team playoff, yes, the SEC will probably get 8 or 9 or even 10 teams in there. But unfortunately, that only waters down the importance of the regular season. Because to get into the 24-team playoff, wins and losses just mean less. In a 24-team playoff, you can get in with an 8-4 record. And in the Southeastern Conference, an 8-4 record is viewed as mediocre. It's just an okay season. Certainly nothing worthy of a college football playoff berth. So the Southeastern Conference is in a bit of a tough position here because they can either acquiesce to the 24-team playoff proposal, thereby destroying their own business model, which is the strength of the regular season, Or they can refuse this 2014 proposal and come off as the bad guy, as the mean old SEC who doesn't want anyone else to have access. Fortunately for the SEC and for everyone else, quite frankly, it doesn't have to be one way or the other. You know, college football comes from a tradition of decentralization. Historically, college football has always been decentralized. It's always been based on geography, on regions, on specific traditions that differ from one place or one conference to the next. And to me, that's always been one of the strengths of college football, that it's a little bit different, that it's a little bit different from here to there. It's not a homogeneous blob where everything and everyone is all the same. No, college football has always been a little bit different. And I think the best way forward for the sport is to maintain those differences and maintain that diversity that we all have come to love. And we do this by building parallel systems, by having two tracks to work on. The first track includes the expanded 24-team playoff, and this allows the Big Ten to make their own conference expansion into something that I think will look like this: two big national divisions, one of which is firmly rooted in the traditions of the Big Ten, with the other division being a bit more expansionist in character, including the bulk of the newer teams in the conference. And this expanded big can send 8 or 9 or 10 teams into the new 24-team playoff each and every year, thereby allowing the Big Ten to expand and also granting more access to teams from the ACC, the Big 12, and the group of 6 conferences. And this makes for a regular season for these leagues where you can drop a game or two here and there, and you can focus more on getting hot at the end of the season before making your way into the expanded playoff. And while this system is working, we move to track 2, the SEC system. Remember, the strength of the Southeastern Conference is the strength of its regular season. So in this system, we see the SEC expand to 20 teams, and I have it looking something like this, where you have 4 5-team divisions. And the SEC teams duke it out in the best regular season in all of college football. They come up with 4 division champions and perhaps even 2 wild cards, and they have their own internal playoff, their own 3-round playoff with the Southeastern Conference Championship game in Atlanta. And in this system, the SEC track, the regular season is king because you have to win your division, or to get 2 of the wild card spots, have a really, really, really good regular season in order to get to the SEC playoff. And so we maintain this week in, week out gauntlet that the SEC has become famous for. Then at the end of the journey of these 2 systems, when we have a champion from both systems that is produced, then we can have a true national championship game between the winner of the SEC playoff and the winner of the 24-team playoff. 2 systems, 1 champion. Now, this to me is the best of both worlds because everybody gets what they need. The Big Ten gets the expanded playoff, which allows them to expand their conference. All the other conferences get expanded access into that big playoff system. And we have kind of a nationalized system of college football on that track. And in that system, the regular season, well, you can afford to lose a game or 2 here and there because the main goal is to find your way into that expanded 2014 playoff. On the second track, the SEC track, we have hands down the best regular season in all of college football. The SEC maintains what made it so great, that gauntlet, week in, week out grind of the SEC regular season. And this produces its own playoff, a smaller playoff, which will produce the SEC champion in Atlanta. So we have two very different systems, each with their own strengths, producing their own champions. And ideally, these two champions would meet at the end of the year, and it would be a true national championship game. I like this solution because it is a win-win solution. We get the expanded playoff, we get the expanded Big Ten, we get more access into the brand new 24-team playoff system. On the other hand, we maintain the credibility, the gauntlet, the grind of the SEC regular season. And the SEC produces its true champion as well, which makes the SEC regular season a complete war zone. You've got to win, period. There are no weeks off. There are no easy games. There are no bye weeks. You have to win each and every week. And that preserves the tradition of the Southeastern Conference. Now, having said all that, will this work? I think so. I think so because college football has never been all one thing or the other. It's always been a patchwork quilt of different conferences and different cultures. And I think the worst thing we can do right now is try and homogenize that into one single blob. I would prefer to keep the diversity, to keep the differences in the game of college football. And the best way to do that, in my estimation, is to have these two distinct tracks. The first, the expanded playoff, the expanded Big Ten, and the second is the SEC regular season gauntlet. By having both of those tracks operating in parallel, by operating them at the same time, we see something beautiful in college football. We see the best of both worlds. So while the discussion of the 2014 playoff rages on, I wanted to point out that a lot of people are missing the most salient point of the conversation. Namely, that the Big Ten is building the playoff it needs to get the expansion it wants. And how the drive to make everybody the same in college football, I think, is a terrible mistake. And in response to that, I suggest this: having two distinct tracks in college football. One of those tracks being the Big Ten style regular season, in which the priority is to just make it into the playoff. The other track being the SEC style regular season, in which the main priority is to win each and every week. I think having both of those systems in place at the same time will be great for college football. It will be wonderful for college football fans, and it will produce a truly unique and exciting product that everyone can enjoy. This is Kevin saying God bless each and every one of you. Hope you enjoyed this video, and I will talk to you later. Bye-bye.